About 10 years ago, I watched Zeitgeist Part 3 that dealt with the money market system, the trauma of inequality, and a future for all, where technology heralded in a magnificent age of prosperity. Watching this, I was very moved and in full agreement with what I saw. Not long before this, I watched Michael Moore's Capitalism a Love Story, and I also resonated with this to a large extent. All addiction is symptomatic of post traumatic stress disorder as a result of trauma. There are many different types of trauma and there are many different types of addiction. But one thing is for sure, on this planet, the most common form of trauma is the trauma of inequality. The vast majority of people on Earth have very little or almost nothing, yet they must see and interact with those who have a lot. This is a traumatic experience. If everyone or the vast majority of people had enough, and there were a few people with a lot, there would be less trauma in this encounter. Poverty leads to crime through desperation. Drug addiction, as a result of trauma, also leads to a life of crime. So societies that are plagued with poverty will always struggle with drug addiction and crime issues. I was born on the 22nd of the 2nd, 1979 in Cape Town, South Africa. People born on the 22nd of Feb astrologically have a great affinity for coincidences, and I am no exception. Next year, my birthday falls on the 22nd of the 2nd, 2022, which is a perfectly balanced date. I have had another theory for a good while now about what I call the balancing of an age. In astrology, an age is roughly 2,000 years. 2,000 years ago was the beginning of the age of Pisces. At this time, two very spiritually impactful figures emerged, John the Baptist and Jesus the Christ. They heralded an age of love and its unifying force, an age that swept away differences and placed fraternity above hierarchy, love above greed. Power was said to be in the hands of God and not men. The early Christian symbol of the fish may be because of the age of Pisces or because Christ was said to be the fisher of men. The baptism ritual is symbolic of the cleansing of one's sins and being reborn spiritually. It is similar to what is taking place now for mankind on Earth. The card the star, whose astrological house is Aquarius, has the symbolism of the female water bearer pouring water back to water, similar to baptism. To me, it feels like baptism and Christ the man were tapping into a better future for humankind that astrologically presents itself now, as we have moved into the age of Aquarius, rather than back then or the 2,000 painful years that were about to follow on from when Jesus and John lived. 2,000 years later, two more spiritually impactful players emerged on the world stage to play a last hand on behalf of the darker side of the age of Pisces. These two players were Aleister Crowley and Adolf Hitler. They are both seen as darker characters, yet their influence has been monumental in helping the world shift into the age of Aquarius. Like John the Baptist, so is Aleister Crowley, in that his influence was more spiritual than actual in terms of causing massive amounts of people to act. And Jesus the Christ is more like Adolf Hitler, in that there was a very dramatic and highly impactful reality to their teachings. Jesus being the advocator of light and love, and Hitler being the bearer of darkness and hatred. These four beings balance the age of Pisces perfectly, and the lessons are done. The symbol of Pisces is two fish interlinked somehow, but swimming in opposite directions, both almost attempting to find their way back to the other. Both light and dark were attempting to find their way in the age of Pisces, and eventually resolved. Now, in the age of Aquarius, we understand and can feel that life is no longer about my people and you all, us and them. It's about all of us together. Each person is themselves the all. Each man and woman is a star, intricately woven together through the laws of the universe to keep all the universe in existence. Not placing more importance on one star above another, but rather acknowledging that we all come from the same stuff moving toward that stuff's eventuality. For us on Earth, our sun, moon, and the planets in our solar system seem to have more relevance to us from a gravitational point of view. But without all the stars, planets, and moons in our galaxy, and the other galaxies beyond doing what they are doing, then the minuscule chance of our existence may be even smaller. Then you bring black holes into the equation, and what they are doing for stability and balance in our universe is also unknown, but the thinking is that whatever they are doing, we can't do without them either. To my mind, black holes are like vaginas that are hungry for sperm. When a black hole eats a star, it spews out stardust that can fertilize other regions around it, similar to how a vagina might kill millions of sperm, but just by one getting through to an egg, another life can form. The idea of placing ultimate importance on majesty is a nice and easy one for humans, but the problem is the idea of us not being equal just feels wrong. Why does it feel wrong? This is because we have evolved to this point where it feels wrong. There is a direct link between evolution and speed. The more evolved a species becomes, the faster they are able to move themselves across greater distances. From the first single-cell organisms that had little to no nervous system, to massive animals whose nervous systems support an integrated network of electrical impulses shooting around their bodies at near to light speed, covering trillions of meters in their lifetimes. Time causes specialization of cells to improve the chance of successive generations. This happens because the network of life and death is so interconnected that balance is always an optimum after strife for more. We are hungry. There is a glucose deficiency. We attain food and eat. Then we sleep, and balance and growth are attained. Now we are ready to do it again. Ready to continue to search for better and more ways to adapt to find a balance in the life cycle. Without time, there is no beauty. Things take time to beautify and become ready to attract a mate to procreate. All living creatures are programmed to mate to continue their line. Whether you procreate or not is irrelevant. But the DNA is programmed to do this. The reason I say gravity is the DNA of the universe is because it is the essential force that allows balance and constancy in the universe that time can function in evolving life. Why evolution, you ask? Why is there an inherent strife for life, balance, and constancy? The reason is because efficiency avoids pain. Pain is a great teacher. By experiencing pain, all creatures learn how to adapt to find greater peace and enjoyment, more pleasure and more fulfillment. They have a need to change their circumstance. War is painful, and this is why war has brought about most of humanity's greatest innovations. The mystery behind how the universe works is a buildup of pressure and then a release. In capitalism, the desire to have less pain of poverty is a driver of innovation and wealth generation. Alternatively, the desire to be successful and have many things and to never lack is the driving force behind innovation and wealth generation. Either way, it's the same ultimate response. It may be someone wanting to help their fellow man and therefore they create jobs and industry. It may be someone wanting to make themselves and their own family incredibly wealthy. But in the end, all innovation ends up being available to everyone anyway. In fact, would there not be faster progress in innovative processes if the benefits of all mankind was the goal? Innovation would benefit everyone, and the innovators would be held in the highest esteem and they would never lack. They would be creating the robotic workforce and the tech generating the abundance that all humans can enjoy, the scientific fruits that can sustain humanity on Earth without the need for anyone to lack. If robots and tech could produce more efficiently and at a lower cost of production, would there not be more time and money for humans to create a new and better life? The best thing about a robotic workforce is you can maximize output without humans growing unhappy from being overworked and underpaid. You wouldn't have strikes demanding higher wages and less work hours and greater benefits. As long as you maintain your tech workforce, you maximize production and cut costs and decrease human pain. You may ask then, what are humans going to do? How will they get money? The answer is all humans will be entitled to the basic universal living wage if they are unemployed or part of a low-income household. This should free them up to do whatever they want to do. They will be free to pursue their passions, and this would lead to fulfillment and happiness. The vast majority of humans get satisfaction from their work, so they will be able to do whatever work they want to do. Even with a majority tech-botic workforce, humans will still work, but the need for humans to work will become less and less, and new specialized fields of service will develop, ones that robots are unable to fulfill. Where a need for a product or service arises, people will always make sure they capitalize on the opportunity. If you take the South African scenario, a worker who earns 5,000 Rand would be earning around 13,000 Rand if you add the universal basic wage. This might no longer feel like transport costs to and from work were killing them. If in a household with children, a 10,000 Rand household becomes a 20,000 Rand household and perhaps an 18,000 Rand household after tax, suddenly these households feel they can breathe a bit more. Rental expenses, food, and education costs are essential to households. Then you add clothing, electricity, and sundries, and the low-income households, as they currently exist, contain a great deal of worry, pain, and suffering. Ownership is important. People owning things like houses, cars, and household belongings is a way of bringing stability. Here I induce the child analogy. If one child has a lot more than a sibling, you create emotional instability. The same goes for humans. People should be allowed to have nice things, work hard in their business, and be greedy if they want. That's inherently their right. But if you have massive amounts of poverty and inequality in a society, the more emotional instability you will create. This is why the goal of technological socialism is first and foremost to eradicate gross inequality and poverty by introducing a basic universal income of $500 and then major support programs that can alleviate fear and hunger from society. Not by creating work for humans, which it can do as well, but the reality is that the future consists of less employment for humans, but by enabling humans to strive to do exactly what they want. This in turn should lead to more innovation, passion, and enjoyment of life by more humans. We have to remove the slave to the wage idea from society. The New World slogan should be, I am a free being, enlightened by my fellows, and I want to learn and enjoy. If someone or an entity gets extremely wealthy, they will be taxed more than lower income earners. However, technological socialism will set up ways for the wealthy to get tax breaks. These ways to get tax breaks would involve the wealthy directly helping the needy and vulnerable financially. This would be a win-win for governments and wealthy citizens, because governments would have money flowing directly to lower income earners, which would improve their lives, and the wealthy citizens would have the benefit of less poverty and therefore less crime and more economic stability. These methods allowing for wealth distribution would also eliminate the ability for tax authorities and governments to do with tax money things other than that which would benefit the people of its country and its economy. My idea around this will be explained in part 4.